Last time on the Easy Peasy Squeezy last time on the review.
This wasn't funny! It never was funny, it never will be funny! It was cruel, ruthless, and completely uncalled for!
Fox? Don't make me shoot you with the tranquilizers.
What the fuck is wrong with you, punk?
I warned you, man. Well, this is where the one-upping cycle starts to take effect. It took me a few more watches to understand this concept, but when you look at it, this is probably the toughest challenge the Apple family has ever had to face. It shows they are passionate about their work, and that all of that hard effort has an everlasting impact on the citizens of Ponyville. We've hardly ever seen the Apple family put basically their lives on the line against a modern-age behemoth like the Super Speedy Machine. I agree, this episode has a few flaws here and there, and the decision was rather rash of Granny to make. But Flim and Flam have never faced a challenge like the Apple family. Every rival they've taken on has been steamrolled by their machine, but along comes Applejack and her family to put a brick wall in their way. Flim and Flam as characters are lazy, irresponsible, and arrogant when it comes to their own profession. So really, the epic battle between the Flim Flam brothers and the Apple family carries as much weight as any of the season finales in the show, because the consequences of this battle for either side could be devastating. Even though it doesn't excuse Applejack just sitting there and doing nothing, knowing AJ, perhaps she has a few tricks up her, front leg sleeve.
Ugh. You're an asshole. You know that tune, critic?
It's on my business card, Fox. That's considered a compliment.
You sick, utter pain in the ass. Look, I already get that this is a competition of physical labor against technology, but the way it's presented itself here is too unpleasant and too stupid for me to appreciate. This could have been set up for the better. You don't have your character stand there with a thumb up their ass on the sidelines and watch someone get under one of their relatives' skins. Anyway, getting back to the story, the family and the brothers agree on the competition and they depart for the day.
Don't worry, Applejack. I know you'll win tomorrow.
We better, because if we don't, we're gonna lose our farm.
The next morning, the family warms up for the competition.
Applejack, are you sure this is such a good idea?
Wait a minute! The other day you were confident about Applejack's competition, and now on this day you're just completely unsure of it? I know this is nitpicking territory, but what a perfect, incoherent way to justify Applejack's comfort level. Thank you for nothing, so-called protege of Celestia.
Yeah, Twilight, I didn't see you, Miss Fancy Pants future princess, doing anything about it. So the competition begins, and it's obvious the family easily falls behind. Twilight decides that since it's becoming an unfair match, she and the rest of the main six decide to pitch in and offer support. You sure that isn't considered cheating, guys?
Actually, this is something they should have done early in the episode, given that Applejack learned to accept help in Applebuck's season. Now, to give credit, what the main six provide here is entertaining. I liked how Rarity was able to analyze the apples, how Fluttershy was able to shake off the trees by her natured experience, how Dash was able to speed up the treadmill with Big Mac, and how swift Pinkie Pie was at catching the apples. Based on her zaniness, that is. Of course, though, Twilight stacks up the barrels instead of, taking the apples out of the trees with her magic, right? You could have made the job a lot easier.
Yeah, that may have come in handy later on. Or you could have just used your magic to make the Super Speedy explode.
Okay, that would have been cheating.
All's fair in love and war, bitch. It's chop shop time.
Ow, watch it, dude. I already got knocked out earlier.
There. Episode over.
Oh, no. We're not done with this episode yet, critic. Sadly, though, as they're all caught up, the Flim and Flam brothers speed up their machine and outnumber the barrels, rushing through their produce and thus winning the match.
Congratulations to y'all. The cider business in Ponyville is yours. Come on, Apples. Let's go pack up our things.
Sure enough, as the brothers start their business, the folks already have complaints with the cider, such as having rocks and dirt in them. Well, what did you expect from two single-demented businessmen who sucked up even the fucking apple trees to rush their work in the first place?
And after all that one-upping, it's symbolic to me that we preferred cheap, processed, and quickly brought out food than something organic and healthy. Does that not scream America?
I would have if the episode's tone wasn't so distracting.
Anyway, because the Flim Flam brothers' business has already given a rocky start, they decide to chicken out by closing down their business and immediately take off. And just like that, we've never seen them again.
Good fucking riddance. The farm is given back to the Apple family with the amount of barrels they've made. And now there's more than enough cider to pass around.
All except for Dash.
Seriously? After all the barrels you have, you're still continuing this abysmal running joke? Why? It's not funny. It's cruel. This is literally watching the Trix rabbit never get in his cereal. It's unpleasant and it's depressing. Oh yeah, and Pinkie Pie gives Dash a mug, which is also what she should have done earlier in the episode.
Okay, so we made it to the end of this episode, and you only had to be tranquilized once, Fox. Good job!
Your condescending nature makes me want to shove that gun down your throat.
Aw, why thank you. And now we finally get to our friendship moral of the episode. I mean, this ought to be good.
Given how much unpleasantness I had to sit through, we're finally given what we've learned.
Dear Princess Celestia, I wanted to share my thoughts with you. Ahem. I didn't learn anything. I was right all along.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Say what?
If you take your time to do things the right way, your work will speak for itself. Sure, I could tell you I learned something about how my friends are always there to help me and I can count on them no matter what. But truth is, I knew that already too.
That is the most half-assed, underhanded message to be pulled out of anyone's ass. First of all, Applejack, if you knew that this whole time your friends would help you, why didn't you have them assist you in the first place? You could have saved a lot of trouble with the brothers and have even more cider produced with the same quality to satisfy the customers. They were the ones who had a problem getting the cider in the first place. After all, customers are the most important thing about business. But instead, you only excuse yourself with the quality over quantity slogan and root this entire conflict back to square one. You could have made this an interesting lesson on how friendship and teamwork can play a major role in business. In fact, that's something you should have learned secondly, Applejack, the values of business, which is what you did nothing on and let problems get worse themselves.
Well played, Applejack. Well played. I was not expecting you to be the ultimate troll of this episode.
Thirdly, there is nothing, absolutely nothing, to be proud of when you say you didn't learn anything. It's often said that you learn something new every day, and yet what's shown here is completely dismissive to younger viewers.
Fox?
What pours salt in the open wound here is that everyone found this to be the best part of the episode because of how ever so often was a message at the end become so repetitive. So let me get this straight. The message of the mysterious mirror duel was terribly presented. The message in Feeling Pinkie Keen was terribly presented. But the message in this episode implying that you didn't learn anything is considered a free pass? Am I the only one who sees this as a problem?
Fox, you're gonna hate me for this.
Look, I know that many of you are tired of the Dear Princess Celestia plot device and how it's used to death. But how do you think the messages were played out in Season 3? The viewers were able to figure out the messages themselves at this point. That also includes Family Appreciation Day when no moral was given. This is not the way to go. If anything, that results in the morality of the show getting completely backwards. Do you think this is what Lauren Faust would have ever wanted to see if she were in charge? I doubt that.
Fox!
What?
Don't you think that maybe this was all just one big joke at the end?
What do you mean?
Look, I can agree with you on some parts here. I'm one of those people who found the ending moral actually amusing.
What? You can't be serious!
It really split people down the middle when it came to the overall reception of the episode. But don't you think that's what the writers were planning? Look at all the previous morals. AJ decides to put her own spin on it because she already knew most of this. I highly doubt AJ would be this stupid though.
Except you're presenting this to younger viewers who will not get the concept.
The morals don't have to be watered down to make them all sunshine and rainbows, friendships last forever, I'm gonna hurl kittens all over the rug happy and such. See, the real moral of this episode, I think, is a little further past the bait and switch technique the writers threw here. When it comes to small businesses, you will always face people who are better than you or have their own tricks up their sleeve to try and sell their product faster and better. Flim and Flam used the whole razzle-dazzle technique and it almost worked, but AJ was smart enough to realize this, as was the rest of the family and her friends. Yes, they kinda looked like idiots at one point, but they capitalized on the brothers' mistakes and managed to trick them into sacrificing quality over quantity. I still find it a brilliant and mature statement against our corporate society today.
I still find it dismissive to younger viewers, especially implying that you'll learn nothing and will possibly get themselves into trouble if they apply the same message to their parents or their teachers.
If you take your time and do things the right way, your work will speak for itself. That's the moral they chose to go with after the little switch.
And thus it roots back to square one of this episode. This is the biggest reason why I hated Super Speedy Cider Squeezy 6000. And there you have it, my most hated episode of Season 2, if not the entire series. The plot was incoherent and written terribly. One of the show's biggest valleys gets backhanded. Almost every pony here was either out of character, annoying, or were just a complete idiot for comedy's sake. And the comedy here, taking the majority of this episode, was just mean-spirited. Almost every joke it lashed at me was downright unpleasant and cruel, and that drowned my vision of what Toon Critic was trying to explain to me. This episode is ruthless, and it expects us to laugh at it, and that's just wrong.
I wouldn't go as far as to call this the worst episode. See, Spike at your service and Mysterious Meridowell holds those spots for me. You've got a really mixed bag here, but I can definitely agree with GoldenFox's points. However, I'll repeat some of my previous points. It gave the Apple family a real test to go up against and made the town respect them more for working together and playing it fairly. In fact, now that I think about it, this episode shows a bit of development stemming back from Season 1 with Applebuck's season. Here, Applejack had no problem asking for help from her closest friends. She could have just done it with only Big Mac, Appleboom, and Granny Smith, but she was able to draw on her resources, and even though they lost against a machine that cheated, they gave it their all and found a bonding experience out of it. Yes, the moral was kind of stupid, but it doesn't seem out of character for Applejack. She knew what she was doing and was willing to risk it all to save her family life's work. Kids can learn a lot from that. She didn't not learn anything, she just reinforced what she already knew. You can't always learn something new. And, okay, the jokes to Rainbow Dash, yeah, I would have taken them out. I agree, they were really pointless. Actually, hang on, now that I'm curious, who wrote this episode? M.A. Larson?
What? One of the best writers on staff, known for Sonic Rainboom, Cutie Mark Chronicles, Luna Eclipse, Ponyville Confidential, Magic Duel, and Magical Mystery Cure, wrote this episode? I'm sorry, but this feels anything but a Larson episode. I could have sworn this was written by Dave Polsky or Meriwether Williams.
Whoa. You did not just compare Larson to those two
Hey,
writers.
at least Meriwether Williams and Dave Polsky are getting better at writing.
Yeah, what they said.
Okay, I'll admit that's a harsh comparison. I don't mean to harp on him, but just think for a second here. His writing style was always known to keep characters intact despite Fluttershy in Magic Duel. His humor was a lot more harmless. The side plots were supported to the main story and not thrown in for humor's sake. This is none of what Larson was known for. I swear there has to be a mistake in the credits.
Hey, every writer can have their off day. They certainly can't be perfect. Look at some of the really crappy episodes throughout the seasons.
Fine. Given that his execution is his weakness, this is by far his worst.
You're gonna just continue hating this episode, aren't you? You'll stop at nothing to keep that claim. I mean, how do you think the audience is gonna react after saying that? A lot of them love this episode and may not seem happy with you. Don't you think you're being just maybe a bit too harsh? You have your opinions and all, but think about the audience for a second, how they feel. How would you feel if someone tackled on something you thoroughly love?
This film does not deserve any of the success or accolades it's received.
The main reason why I hate this episode is the fact that the entire plot makes no fucking sense.
It's just a bad episode, and you should feel bad when watching it.
Well played, Toon Critic. Well played. I know I'm going to get a lot of flack after what I said here, and I know that a lot of you are possibly offended, and chances are more than likely I'll be hated for a long time. I've been admittedly a flawed reviewer in the past, but after tackling myself up in a situation like this, I should at least end this on a better note. If it's your favorite episode, I hold nothing against it. In fact, I believe that's the major thing we need to learn here, and it's that not everyone likes everything. I've learned this multiple times, so anyone who's offended by this review on such a high level, yeah, I can understand that pain. For those who had to stomach it in watching this, I can say at the very least, I am sorry.
While I have seen far worse episodes in the series that deserve a harsher verdict, I will be generous and give this a 6.5 out of 10. With that being said, I'm the Toon Critic, keeping you totally tuned for your viewing entertainment.
And I'm through with this review.
Hey man, it's all good. Don't take it so hard. I understand your hate on this episode, and now it's over. Let's just call it a day and be back at the Riff Cafe. I can't believe you ranked this as Larson's worst.
Hey, I said what needed to be said.
Well, it's not Ponyville Confidential. Okay, that was an atrocity.
Whoa, what did you say about Ponyville Confidential?
What, that it was one of the worst episodes in the series?
Don't you dare talk shit about that episode.
Oh boy, I think I started something, didn't I?